Good evening guys. Today we are going to see the control structure in Python, function in Python and applications of Python. So the control structure in Python is divided into two parts. First is conditional statements. Conditional statements means decision making statements. In this, the basic decision statement in computer is selection structure. This is to select whether the condition is true or false. The decision is described to computer as a condition statement that can be answered true or false. So if the condition is going to true, then the the statement inside that will be executed, and if it is false, then it will not execute. In Python there are four types of conditional statements. First one is if statement. If statement is a decision making statement which is a simple statement. The syntax of if statement is given here, and the flow chart of the syntax of the if statement is like this. First the condition is checked. If the condition is true, then the condition inside the statement inside the if loop, if statement will be executed, and if the condition is false, then it will skip the statements inside for loop inside if statement, and then it will go afterwards. So example is given here. We will see this in Jupyter notebook. So first, checking the condition of using if. First we take the input from user, which is enter the number, and we are storing that into I variable. If the value of I is less than or equal to 10, then the condition statement inside if is executed. The statement is print condition is true. So if we run this code and we enter number 9, that is less than 10, so the condition will be executed. So print the condition is true will be printed. Now if we input number greater than 10, let's say 15, then it will not execute the statement and it will not give any output. Now if statement, if else statement. If else is a two part. First one is if, which is the previous one, but else is if we want to print another statement. If the condition is false, then according to flow chart we can see that the test is the expression is checked. If the expression is true, then the body of if will be executed, and if expression is false, then the body of else will be executed. Let's see the one program. So in program we are taking input from the user and we are storing in number variable, and if the we are checking that if number is even or odd. So the condition is to check the number is even or odd. If the condition is true, then the number is even. So if we input number, any number, let's say 15, it is odd, so it will say given number is odd. Because the condition is false, so it will not execute the part of if statement, it will execute the part of else statement, which is given number is odd. So now we check another number, which is 16, which is even. So the statement inside if loop will be executed. Now check if Elif statement. Elif statement is a very important statement which is called chain conditional. So if we want to execute more than one condition, there Elif statement is used. The syntax of Elif is given here. We can see the flow chart. First condition is checked. If it is true, then the statement inside first if will be executed. If it is false, then second execution will be checked. Condition is true, then the code inside that will be executed. If the condition is false, then another condition will be checked, and if it is true, then inside that the statement will be executed. That goes on with how many times we want to execute the statement. Now check the example. In example, we are taking three numbers from user A, B and C. Then we are checking if A is greater than B and C, so A will be largest. Otherwise, we have to check B number. So we are checking also B. B is greater than A and C, then B is largest. Otherwise, A and B is not largest, then C is largest. So if we run this program, we input any number 12, 13, 14. So 14 is largest, so it will show C is largest, because the condition of if and condition of elif are false, so else part will be executed. If we take another numbers 16, 25 or 14, then the second number is largest, so it will show B is largest. Now nested if statement. Nested is, what is nested if? In nested if we are writing if statement inside if statement, so it will execute inside if statement. So first condition will be checked, which is expression 1. Expression 1 will be true, then the condition, then the second if inside the if will be checked. If it is true, then the statement inside that will be executed. If it is false, then it will go outside if statement. Then elif statement will be checked. If elif is true, then statement inside elif will be executed, and if that is also false, then the else statement will be executed. So let's say the example. In example, we are taking n equal to input from user. So we take 15. If the number is less than or equal to 15, then it will go inside if. So another time if will be checked that n equal 10. So if n equals to 10, then print statement will be executed, which is play cricket. But here we are not giving 10, so it will not executed. The else part of it will be executed, because it is less than or equal to 15, so it is in the else which is nested, so play kabaddi will be printed. But if we take number 10, so it will go in the second if, which is n equal 10, and it will print that statement. Now the control statement, which are looping statement. So in Python there are two looping statement, while loop and for loop. Nested loop is loop inside loop. While loop, in while loop we are checking condition, and if condition is true, then the statement inside the while loop will be executed. If the condition becomes false, then it will terminate the while loop. Let's take an example. In example, we can see that we are taking number from user. If it is, and we are adding into sum variable, so what will be here? If we take 5 number, then it will check that while 5 greater than 0. So if 5 is greater than 0, yes, then it will go inside that. Then the sum is 0. Now sum equal to sum plus number, so number is 5 and sum is 0, so it will store 5 in sum variable. Now number equal to number minus 1, so the number value of number will be minus, so it will be 4. Now another one time it will go in to check the condition. Now condition is 4 greater than 0, so it is true, so it will again go inside while statements, and it will execute the statements sum equal to sum plus num and num equal to num minus 1. Now the value of num equal to 3, so it will check another one time 3 greater than 0, it is true, it will go another time inside for loop, inside while loop, again it will check, and the number will be 2. So number 2 greater than 0, yes, so it will again go inside for while loop and it will again execute statements. Now number is 1 greater than 0 true, so it will again go inside statements and again execute the statements. Now number equal to 0 greater than 0 it is false, so it will terminate the while loop and it will go in to the print statement. So if we enter 5, so it will add 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, so the sum is 15. We can see the use of while loop. If we have to check condition and we don't know the limit, then we can use while loop. Now while loop with else, we can use else in while loop also. In other languages there are only while loop and for loop, not with else, but in Python it is available. So Python supports else statement with loop statements. So now we will see the example of it. We are taking a counter equal to 0. Now we are checking condition that counter less than 3. Here counter equal to 0, so it will the condition will be true and it will execute the statement inside while, which is inside loop it's printed. So if we run this program, we can see that 3 times inside loop is executed and 4th time outside loop is executed. So we can see here that we are increasing the counter, so it will go to 3, but 0, 1 and 2, so it will execute 3 times. When it comes to 3, the condition is false, so it will execute the else part and the outside loop will be executed. Now for loop. What is the use of for loop? For loop is used when we know the limit. Then we can use for loop. In while loop we don't know the limit, we are only checking the condition. In for loop we know the limit, which is we can do in the loop. In for loop, in Python, for loop is the syntax of for loop is somehow different. The syntax is given here: for value in sequence. What is sequence? Sequence is any range or any data type like list, tuple or string, which is iterable. What is iterable? Iterable is called traverser. Iterable over a sequence is called traverser. It is that we go to every element of loop of any data type, list or tuple or string, and we do we execute the statement for every element. So what is done in for loop? We can see the flow chart. For each item in sequence, let there be any item, it will check the condition that last item is reached or not. If it is reached, then it will exit the loop, but if it is not reached the last item, then it will go into the body of for loop and it will execute the statements. We can see the example: numbers, use of for loop. Now numbers is here we have taken a list which is numbers equal to list, and there are some numbers inside the list. Now we have taken sum 1 equal to 0. Now in for loop, what we have done, we have iterated the numbers list, and for every item in the numbers list we have done the increment and in adding to the sum. So it will print the sum at the end. So it is the sum of the all numbers inside the list. Now for loop with else. What is for loop with else? For loop with else is exactly same as for loop with while. It will just execute after every condition is false and the loop is terminated. It will execute the else part. We can see here we have taken one example which is one without else and one with else. Now after running that, we can see the difference. It will execute the else part after the termination of for loop. So if we want to print any statement after the looping is done, then we can use the else part. Now functions in Python. What are functions? Function is a group of related statements that perform a specific task. Help break our program into smaller and modular chunks. As program grows larger and larger, functions make it more organized and manageable. If our program is very large, then we can partition our program into different parts, which is called functions. We can part it into functions. Addition to that, it has advantages like it avoids repetition and makes code reusable. So we can use functions in many different methods. There are mainly three types of functions, which is built-in function, user-defined function, and anonymous functions. We will see built-in and user-defined functions here. What is built-in function? That are the functions are built into Python itself, and it comes with Python. We don't have to define the function. User-defined function is that we have to define the function, and we want to do some specific task, then we can define our function. Built-in function, there are many built-in function in Python. If we go to the website of Python and documentation of Python, there are given the list of built-in functions in Python. We can see there, but the mostly used functions are given here. So first is print. What is print function? We have seen print function in previous session and this session also. It just prints the statement whatever we want to print. So it will print hello world. Now integer function. What integer function does? It will convert the string into integer, or any variable it will convert into integer. Now here we have taken x equal to 11, which is string. So if we do integer of x and then print, it will convert into 11. If we want to check it, then we can type here type of x. We can see that it is we have not assigned any variable. So if we do integer of x and then type, it will say that it is integer. So we can convert any variable into integer by using integer function. Now example of float. What is float? Float converts any variable into float data type. So we have taken 11, which is integer, and we have done float of it, so it will print 11.0. Now str is also same. It converts the variable into string. So if we take x equal to 11 and then we do str of it, then it will print 11. We can check the type here also. If we type print and str of x, so it is string. Now the type function, we have used type function many times. It shows the type of any variable. Here we have taken true, which is boolean variable, so it will show the class bool. Now help. If we want to see help of anything in Python, we can just use help. So we have seen the if statement. If we do help of if, it will show all the function of if statement. Here we have seen that. Now the example of input. We can input anything from user by using input function. Here we have done enter something. So if we enter anything, it will just print it. Now the example of id. What is id? In Python there is the id function which gives specific id of any variable which is stored in the memory. In general we can say that it is the memory address of any variable which is stored in our system. We can say that in C language it is pointer, or which shows the address of any function, any variable. So the id shows the memory address of any variable, which is called id in Python. So it will show the address. Now the range function, we can use range function to display to take the range of from anything. So range of 10 will give 0 to 9 numbers, which is 10 value, and it will print, it will become list. We have type list here. So it is, list is the same like integer or float or string function. It will convert the range into list. Now we have round function. What is round function? It will do round of any float value. If we have taken 1.5, it will do 2 because it is near to, it is near even number to the value of we taken. Now min function, what does the min function? It will do, it will give the minimum value of the range which is given. We have given the list, and if we do minimum of x, then it will print 2. Now maximum, it will print the maximum number of the list, so it is 8. Now what is user defined function? User defined function is that what we define. How can we define our function? Here it is given, we have to type the def keyword, which will decide that the upcoming name is the name of the function. So here we have typed def, then the name of our function, then there is a parenthesis and the colon. Now inside it, after doing indentation, we can type value equal to 1 and return value. So return statement is what? It is returned to the variable if we assign the variable this function. We have taken one example of user defined function. Here we have typed def, then the name of the function which is hello, and inside that we have taken name variable which is the input from user. Now it is checked that if name, it will check that name is true or not. If name is, we have given the name, then it will be true. So if I type my name and execute that, it will print hello Devrat, because we have statement here that print hello plus str of name. The name will be converted into string and it will be concatenated with hello. So it will print after hello and then it will return it. Now we have application of Python. What is application of Python? Application is, Python is used at many different places, which is web and internet development. Here in web and internet development there is Django framework which is used to develop the web development, and also there is Flask micro framework which is also used to develop web or internet protocols. HTML and XML, we can use Python to build HTML and XML files, and we can do modification in that, and we can use for many other uses. Now email processing, we can make a script of Python which send email automatically, and it will use some packages, and it will send our email from whatever ID we want to choose. There are some more libraries which is request. It is a powerful HTTP client library which is used for HTTP, which is hypertext transfer protocol, and it is used for that. Now Beautiful Soap, it is an HTML parser that handles all sort of oddball HTML, which is a different topic. We can use SciPy, which is a collection of package for mathematics, science and engineering, which is also used in machine learning also, and it is also used for many work for different mathematical analysis. There is also Raspberry Pi, which uses Python to design robots. We can say that Raspberry Pi board is a small computer. We can do Python programming and configure that board to do any type of work. Now Pandas are a daily analysis and modeling library. It is used in machine learning and AI. Now desktop GUIs, GKGUI, TKGUI is a library which is used to develop desktop GUIs. There is also PyQt GUI toolkit, which is also used to develop desktop GUIs, and Kiwi for writing multi-touch application. Now web crawler, using libraries like Beautiful Soap, which we have discussed before, we can do web crawler. Now web development, we have seen Django and Flask, which is used for the web development. Data structure and algorithms, using different libraries available at many websites, we can use that and do many type of work on data structure and algorithm. There are also plugins and library available. If we only Google it, it will show everything whatever we want to include in our Python. The data science, by doing data science in Python, we can implement algorithms to build Python machine learning and AI models. In networking, it is also used Python. By Python we can implement some protocols like SMTP, FTP, HTTP, etc. We can encrypt and decrypt libraries, and something like RSA, RC4 and DES. We can do cryptology by using Python. There are many libraries available by which we can do cryptography. Computer vision, we can also do this. We can do image processing also with Python. Artificial intelligence, there are some packages like Simple AI and Easy AI, which is used for artificial intelligence. Now games, we can develop many type of games by using Python also. Pygame is a very popular example of that. There is also Pixelman and too many troopers which is developed in by Python. It is the Pygame which is done by Python also. Thank you for participating, and there is a quiz session which is scheduled, and you can go to that by the link of that is given in the description only, and everything is given in the description, and which is now you can go for quiz, and please give feedback. The link of the feedback is given in the description. So let's see the comments. So please go for quiz and do quiz. It is very simple. You can find the link of quiz in the description. So now we are ending our webinar.